You ever talk to a friend, a coworker, a family member, a cousin, a distant relative about a plan you had, and this plan is kind of abstract, right? It's kind of different. It's not necessarily crazy, but it's just something that's not within their realm of, normal understanding, normal thinking. And then the moment you tell them about this plan, they immediately focus the majority of their attention on the reasons why it won't work instead of on the reasons why it will work. You see, I personally like to call these people's no-can-do people or no-can-doers. These are the kinds of people where when you tell them your plans, they immediately tell you things like, but, this is a good idea, but it's gonna require so much effort, but it's gonna require so much time, but it's gonna require so much discipline. And it's like, when you think about it, the inherent narrative that's in their mind is a loser's mindset. You know what I mean? Instead of looking for ways that something could work, they immediately focus all of their attention, or at least the majority of their attention, on the reasons why it can't work. And this applies to any field. It's not just limited to one thing such as athletics, career, building a business, building a YouTube channel, becoming an artist, whatever it is. I know for me personally, when I first started a YouTube channel, there was a lot of people who were kind of supportive, but then there was also a lot of people who were kind of like skeptical about the reason or why I would even consider starting a full-time YouTube channel. They were telling me things like, that's a good idea, man, but it takes so much consistency and so much discipline. That's a good idea, but how do you know you're so valuable at what you're doing? How do you know you could give so much value? How do you know what you're talking about, that people actually like this stuff? That's a good idea, man, but you see, the whole but, that word right there, you could tell whether a person's positive or negative based upon the number of times they use that word, generally speaking. The people who are more focused on propelling forwards in life, you notice that they don't really use that word as often, right? They'll typically tell you, congratulations, man, like you're starting a YouTube channel, you're doing this, you're doing that, that's great. This could definitely pay off. You're a great speaker, you're a great this, you're a great that. I could totally see you doing this thing. See, people like those are typically the ones who are not only more success-minded, but also people whom you see more success in their lives as evidence to prove it, right? Because these people typically have in their mind that switch where there's always a can-do and a no-can-do path, right? If you think about it towards anything, there's basically a positive and a negative about starting a business, about starting a YouTube channel, about doing whatever. But in the back of their minds, inherently they're thinking, someone else has done this before and they've succeeded. And they're not necessarily smarter than me, or more gifted than me, or more creative than me, more athletic than me, whatever. So if they can do it, I can do it. And because they have that mindset, when you tell them about your plans, they're supportive of it because they're like, of course you could achieve it. This other person on YouTube is a 21-year-old who's already a millionaire. Of course this guy could achieve it. This guy's smarter. This guy's more this, more that, whatever. So that's the narrative in the back of their minds. But the majority of people, which I literally believe they're the majority of the people, I hope they're not, but the majority of people think like that. Because if you think about it, any example, right? I'd rather give you my personal example because it's something I've been through. Starting a YouTube channel. If you think about it, there's a million reasons why you should start one. But then again, there's a million reasons why you shouldn't start one. Let's first start with the negative to get it out of the way. The negatives are there's way too much competition. It takes forever to get monetized. Well, for the average person, not the exception. It takes a while for your results to pay off. It takes a while to build up loyalty and trust with your followers. It requires a lot of effort up front for the first, if it's not the first couple of months, it's the first couple of years, right? But the positives are, long-term, it could pay you more than your full-time job with way less effort than your full-time job. And you could travel the world at your own terms. And it's not just the money you're making off of Google Ads, it's sponsorships, it's community. You could have paid memberships, paid subscriptions, you could have merch, you could have all these things. And that gives you credibility because you're an influencer at that point. And when you're an influencer, you're kind of like a micro celebrity, if you will. Some of them literally turn out to be celebrities. So that's the reason why you should become a YouTuber. Now, if you think about it, both of those reasons are valid, right? Or both of those paths are valid. The path of don't start a YouTube channel and be a no-can-doer, or start a YouTube channel and be a can-doer. But the people who are more success-minded think about the can-do part of it. Napoleon Hill said this best. He is the author of the best book I've ever read. It's called Think and Grow Rich. This book came out in, I think, the 1920s, if I'm not mistaken, or the 1930s, I can't remember. But anyways, the author said that most people, when they're faced with something like this, right? A new decision, a new way of thinking, a new business, whatever, they immediately pass the major part of their attention on the no-can-do part, the negative part. I don't have the influence, I don't have the resources, I don't have this, I don't have that. And if you think about it, most of the people who really made it big, they've failed at some point and sometimes drastically failed, but they found a way to turn that failure into success, even though it was illogical if you think about it. Like Walt Disney. I believe people in the newspaper, I can't remember, critics or something like that, they said that he didn't have the creativity to be, that type of artist, animations and stuff like that. A guy like Michael Jordan, he was cut from his high school basketball team years before he made it to the NBA. Logically speaking, if we were to look back at these instances, we'd be like, these people weren't really talented enough to make it happen, because a guy like Michael Jordan, if you're cut from your high school team, how the hell could you play for the NBA? But he proved us all wrong because he saw something that we didn't. He focused on the can-do part of it. He trained like a monster, like an animal, until he eventually became the greatest in the history of the sport. And the guy who invented wireless communication, his name is Marconi, he's Italian. He is the reason why we're able to speak on phones today, we're able to listen to the radio, and we're able to tune into live TV. This man believed in wireless communication before it was even a thing. This is maybe, I think, hundreds of years ago. And when he first proposed his idea to his friends, they thought he was nuts, and they literally took him to the insane asylum. But now look, all because of him, there's cell phones, there's phones, and the first thing that he actually created, he invented basically, was the radio. So my whole point is this: when you're around too many no-can-doers, two things. Number one, you should try to limit your interactions with them as much as possible, unless you absolutely have to, like they're a really close family member. Instead of like cutting them off, just limit it, right? Limit it more than you normally would talk to them or hang out with them. And number two, don't take what they say personally. Because more times than not, this is how they view life and this is how they think about themselves. They have so much lack and limitation within themselves. They're so fearful. They're so failure focused, maybe because of their past, maybe because they just don't have self-confidence, maybe because they didn't get the type of love they did from their parents that kind of filled them with self-confidence. And so these are the reasons why they doubt themselves. But whatever it is, just like I said, if you're a person who has, goals and dreams in life, especially ones that are kind of out of the ordinary, besides a specific job, besides this, besides that, something that's a bit out of the ordinary, at least according to your immediate circle, whether it's friends or family, just try as much as possible to limit your time from the no-can-doers and focus more on the can-doers and try to network with them as much as possible. Because at the end of the day, man, I know this might sound like it's hocus pocus positive bullshit, but it's actually true. When you're on the path to, getting more successful and stuff, you really need to focus more on the reasons why it can work. Of course, after doing your research, not just some magic hocus pocus shit, as opposed to the reasons why it can't work. And then after doing your research, think about it and think about it logically and objectively without attaching your emotions to it. And then ask yourself, if this person succeeded at doing XYZ, then I certainly can. And then list the reasons why you believe you can. Maybe you're smarter than this person. Maybe you're more experienced than this person in this specific thing. Maybe this, maybe that. And sure, there's reasons why you can't do it, as there is for basically anything, but don't focus on those reasons. Just like I said as my own example, growing a YouTube channel. Growing a YouTube channel is not easy. It definitely needs you to have like a fighter's mindset. I'm not even kidding, because you have to publish video after video after video after video. And then at first, no one's really gonna watch your videos. But if you're confident enough and you're speaking with conviction and you're kind of relatable to the audience who's watching it, they're gonna stick around. And eventually your views are going to explode and you can achieve the kind of success that you really want to achieve with just minimal effort. So that's the can-do reason why you should focus on it. But long story short, man, what I want you to gain from this video is to focus on the things that you can control, that are positive, that are objective as well, and write them down. Don't attach your feelings to them, and focus less on the reasons why you can't achieve something just because someone else said that, because that is just going to keep you limited and stuck instead of keeping you in an abundance mentality that is open to growth and progression.